Video, we're going to be talking about rotations. So we talked about translations and reflections. Now we're going to talk about rotations. So a rotation is a turn about a fixed point called the center of rotation. A figure rotates at a specific angle and direction. So, just close my notes. The figure can rotate around any fixed point. The most common center of rotation is the origin. I think that for most things, we will be sticking with that as our center of rotation. So, a couple things. There are some common things that we do. 90 degrees, where our original point, x, y, goes to negative y, x. So what this means is that the y changes place and signs, and the x just changes place. For 180 degrees, xy becomes negative x, negative y. So notice that the position doesn't change, but the sign does. And the last one, 270 degrees, so let's go back here. So 90 is just going one quadrant. (180) is going two quadrants, so we go here and then here. So that's 180 degrees. And the last one, we go three quadrants. 1, 2, 3. So that x, y, again, that's how it always starts, becomes y negative x. So again, notice that the y changes positions, and so does the x, and the x changes signs this time. So look at the pattern. This just changes signs. So what we're looking is when I rotate 180 degrees, I just change the signs of both my coordinates. When I rotate 90 degrees, I flip the coordinates. They were x and y. So y becomes the x, and x becomes the y. Remember that these represent numbers, and then I change the sign. And down here, x and y switch positions, and we change the sign of the x. All right, so let's do some examples. So this is 90 degrees clockwise. So 90 degrees clockwise means that I change the positions and change the y. So if A is 2, 7, it becomes 7, negative 7, 2. Remember that I flip the numbers and change the sign for the y. So let's graph the first one, and then we can check our progress. So over 2, up 7, that's A. Over 6, up 5, that's B. Over 4, up 1, that's C. Okay, so there's my very badly drawn triangle. So when I rotate it 90 degrees, so first of all, counterclockwise, I don't know what I just did. So remember that counterclockwise goes against the clock, and clockwise goes with the clock. So this is counterclockwise. That means that I'm going to rotate that way. So when I put my points, negative 7, 2, that should be A prime. B was 6, 5, so it should be negative 5, 6. Negative 5. So that should be B prime, prime. And C is 4, 1, so that should be negative 1, 4. Negative 1, 4. So notice that if I were to hold my pen at the origin and turn the graph, that my shape would rotate, A would rotate onto A prime, B would rotate onto B prime. So all I have to remember is that x, y becomes negative y, x. Okay? So now let's do 180. 180 doesn't have a clockwise because either way, it either goes this way or it goes this way. Either way, we end up in the same place. So x, y becomes negative x, negative y. So we'll start by graphing what we have. 2, 6 is P. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. R and 1, 2. So there's S. So it says that's a square. So I want to put that over in this quadrant over here. So I should just be able to change the coordinates. So P becomes negative 2, negative 6. Negative 2, negative 6. That's P prime. 6, 5 for Q becomes negative 6, negative 5. Negative 5, negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. S is 1, negative 2, so I have negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. So if I rotate this 180 degrees, that's where I get. Okay? So again, remembering how we got there, the pattern for each one is what we need to do. Now let's look at 270 counterclockwise. So 270 counterclockwise, this time they change positions and the x changes. So remember, counterclockwise, that goes like this. And we go from x, y, hey, to y, negative x. So 3, 4 becomes 4, negative 3. K goes from 6, 4 to 4, negative 6. L goes from 8, 1 to 1, negative 8. And M goes 1, negative 1. Okay, so let's see if that checks out. Let's do the original one. Over 3 up 4, that's J. Over 6 up 4, that's K. Over 8 up 1, that's L. And over 1 up 1 is M. So there's my original trapezoid. So when we rotate it counterclockwise, that should go 1, 2, 3. We should end up over here and upside down because we're just turning it around. So let's see. we said that J should be over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, down 3. So that should be J prime. L should be 1, negative 8. L prime. 4, negative 6 is right here. That's K prime. And over 1, down 1 is M prime. So you can see that if I were to rotate that, I'm just going to sketch these in rough. The first rotation would look like this. The second rotation would look like this. And the third rotation is where we end up. So you can finish those rotations for the degrees and the direction that we've given. So these last two are the clockwise rotations. And the hint is the same thing. So the direction doesn't matter except for where you end up. What matters are these 3 rules. Now, why isn't 360 there? 360 maps to the pre-image. It just goes all the way around. If I spin all the way around, that's 90. We come down here, that's 180. And then I come over here, that's 270. When I get back up to 360, I'm right back where I started. So 360 maps to our pre-image.